Hi guys, and welcome to a new Dawn. I am Dawn, and today we're going to talk about what's next. So if you're new here, welcome. If you have watched any of my previous videos, thank you for coming back. Today I kind of wanted to just talk about really what's next, what happens, what is life like after leaving a domestic abuse relationship. I was actually in a relationship for 5 years. It probably was abusive for 5 years, if I'm to be quite honest. I wanted to leave, but I had just gotten to a sunken place. I don't know how else to describe it. I really was a zombie there for a while, and I have discovered in this entire experience that my personal fight or flight response is to freeze first. And knowing that about myself explains a lot of my behavior during this 5-year time. It's really been tough to rebuild, to start over, but worth it. It's been worth it. It's nothing like getting my life back. It's nothing like feeling like myself again. It took me spending some time with myself. It took me being honest with myself. It took some therapy. It took reconnecting with my friends and my family and people who really love and care about me to help me regain my confidence, my strength, just the will to just keep fighting for me. So with that said, today you can see that I have a full face on, but I'm actually going to do my makeup in this episode so you can see the look from start to finish. So with that being said, let's get into it. So I do have to always do a mini recap. If you have not listened to the very first episode, A Journey to a New Dawn, please go back and listen to that video. It explains a lot. I am going to do a little recap before I go into what's next, because it's important to do that, right? So I was in a bad spot. And one thing that this entire journey has taught me is self-reflection is an essential part of growth. So I was in a bad spot. I was in a bad spot emotionally. I was sad and depressed about losing my grandmothers. I was completely stressed out at work. I was lonely. And more importantly, and you'll get a glimpse of that if you've listened to episode 1, I was in desperate need of wanting to start my family. I was desperate. I had always had a desire to have children, be married and have children. But the older I got, being married became less of a priority to me, and having children became the only priority, right? And to be perfectly honest, for me, in all this reflection, I really realized that when my biological clock started ticking, y'all, it was loud. Okay, like loud. And it was so loud that at times I couldn't hear anything else. I couldn't see anything clearly. I couldn't do anything without just thinking about that in the back of my mind. So in hindsight, and it took a lot for me to admit this, that was the thing that was driving me. And so I realized that I made some poor decisions. I realized that I sacrificed some things that I never probably would have done because of my desire to want to start a family. It was so strong. It was so deep. But to be perfectly honest, like in all of this reflection, Another one of the big takeaways that I got from it is that nurturing myself and what's inside of me is important. It is actually more important than anything. I have learned that, and it's a cliche, I know we've all heard it 1,000 different times by 1,000 different peoples over 1,000 years. You can't look for love in the wrong places, and you can't find happiness anywhere. You can't depend on happiness to come from someone else. It really does have to come from within you. And at the time that I met this guy, I was not happy. I was down bad. And the crazy thing is, I was down bad and I didn't want to even admit that to myself. So being honest with myself, really having serious conversations with myself, it became key. A couple things that I have learned to focus on since that time were loving myself first, and always making sure that I'm loving myself first. Whatever that looks like to me, right? It's personal to me, but I have to make sure that I put myself first over anybody. Also, don't settle. And I don't think there's anything else to say besides that. Don't settle. I've learned that I deserve so much better, and there's no reason to settle. I really legit can do bad by myself. So don't settle. Listening to my gut and follow my instinct is crucial, right? And not ignoring the red flags. And I did that, and I know I did it. I did it on purpose. I knew there were times that I knew this ain't right. This ain't right. I gotta get out. This ain't right. I'm following someone who's leading me into the gutter. But I ignored the red flags. And the last thing, setting boundaries and sticking to them. And guys, I'm going to be honest. This is something that I've struggled with my entire life. No lie. So that is something, those 5 things are actually things that I have committed to myself. Just in going through this experience, these are things that I've learned about myself that are key. They are key things to focus on. They are a part of my self-care. And if I don't do them, I'm going to end up in a bad spot again. So, just to kind of go back to, I just talking about all of that and thinking about my past, y'all, I really met a monster. And the thing that's crazy is I didn't recognize it in the beginning. Because I ignored the danger signs. I ignored all the warning signs. I ignored all the red flags. And I'm going to tell y'all, and I'm not, I am not saying this to be mean at all. I liked him. And I've said that in other videos. I like this guy. I was attracted to him. But if I'm being honest, and it's not just with y'all, it's legit being honest with myself. He was just all right. He was average. It was nothing real fancy about him. It was nothing in particular that really drove me to him. At the time I met him, I was in a bad place. So I wanted to be with somebody. I wanted to be with someone who would take my mind off of the stress that I was experiencing at work. I wanted to be with someone who would take my mind off of being depressed about my grandmother's being sick and me not really having the ability to be with them because I was so far away. I was in Texas and they were in Ohio. And I wanted to start a family. Everyone knows that. But I also just wanted somebody to be nice to me. Like I wanted somebody to treat me good. And to be honest, guys, he didn't do none of that. In the very beginning, he was real cool. He was a lot of fun to be around, and we had a good time. So he did take my mind off of work. He did take my mind off of the stress of my family. He promised me things like wanting to be in a relationship with me and having the same goals and desires as me, as wanting to have a family. And I believe that, right? But in doing that, I ignored the warning signs. I used to live in Houston, and if y'all live in Houston, if you ever been to Houston, if you know anything about Houston, when it rains in Houston, it floods and it is bad, right? So one of the things that you always see in here is they will tell you, turn around, don't drown. It's crazy because I can use that or see that metaphor in my own personal situation. That's something that I learned. That's something that I really had to learn. Listen, guys, I am a rule follower, okay? So when I lived in Houston and they told you, do not try to drive through this rainy weather. You think you got a nice car. You think it won't happen to you. You think that water is not that deep. So you just trying to get home. You're going to try to make it through thinking it can't happen to you. No, the advice is turn around, don't drown. It's there for a reason. The warning signs are there for a reason because you don't know what's ahead, right? And in real life, I can practice that with everything, right? I'm a rule follower. I can think practically. I think logically about everything. In my personal life with this guy, y'all, that went out the window. I didn't even think about that. But it's like all the signs were there in the beginning and I ignored them. And instead of turning around, I drowned and I got myself caught up in a situation with someone and it just ended so bad, right? But maybe it could have been avoided. Maybe it couldn't have been avoided. To be honest, my true feelings are, I feel like all of that had to happen to me in order for me to get to where I am today. I always, when I first moved to Texas, I loved it so much. I will never forget on my birthday in January, it was 75 degrees the first year I was there. And I thought, there is no way I'm going back to the Midwest. There's no way, right? Something traumatic would have to happen in order for me to go back home. And then I'm not staying, right? And anybody that knows me will tell you, I used to say that and I meant it. Well, this was a traumatic experience. And I think this had to happen in order for me to get to where I'm at now. But anyway, I use the reference as turn around, don't drown because, listen, I'm a black woman and I'm a single black woman and I was raised by a single black woman. And I have family members who are single black women and I have friends who are single black women. We're strong. We're raised to be strong. We are taught that. I know how to be that. And that's not something I need anybody to test my gangster on, right? But why do I have to be that way, right? It's okay to have a soft life. There was no reason for me to proceed, but I did. Instead of waiting on God's timing, I tried to do things my way and I got down bad. There's a couple things that I wanted to talk about. Just some warning signs, some things that happened to me in the very beginning where I really should have turned around. I really should have stopped. In the first 2 months of us getting together, 3 major things happened and I really should have ran, but I didn't. Just very briefly, and I told y'all, we met on a dating website. We got together really quickly and within a week, he already was asking me to be his girlfriend. Well, after he asked me to be his girlfriend, I'm not joking, within a day, maybe a day and a half, one of my friends messaged me and told me, hey, the guy that you're talking to, I think he just messaged me on the same dating app because it sounds like exactly what he said to you, right? Long story short, he 100% did that. But I talked to him about it and he told me even though we agreed that we wanted to see each other, we talked about dating exclusively. He told me he'd been hurt in the past. And even though I said that I wanted to be with him, he wasn't sure. So he hadn't taken his stuff off of the dating website yet. Now, I gave him some leeway because, again, I hadn't been in a relationship in a long time. I liked him. He was cool. And he cried, y'all. So I really was thinking, like, this guy really feels bad about what he did. Like, he just made a mistake. So I let it ride. Number 2. One time, he came over to my house one evening, and I had been out of town on a work trip, right? I came home and I kind of was like, I just want to chill for the weekend. I didn't have any intentions of going anywhere, and he was going to come over and hang out with me. He left to go get some clothes, and I guess when he came back, because he didn't have a key at the time, he couldn't get in. He told me that he knocked, and I didn't answer, and he thought he heard someone in there. So, y'all, he broke up with me. He broke up with me over a letter and taped it to my door. Well, I didn't go nowhere the whole weekend because I had intended on being at home. When I saw him, that this was on a Friday night, on Saturday, I guess, is when he stopped by. On Sunday, he came over to talk, and I had been calling him, no response. He came over to chat with me on Sunday, and he asked me, he told me what happened, and he asked me, did I see the note? The note was still on the door, y'all, so of course I didn't see it. I had been in the house the whole weekend. I probably was in the shower when he came over, but he swear he heard someone in there. No, that didn't happen. That's not me. Anyway, long story short, we had a conversation about it, and y'all, he actually went back to his ex-girlfriend that weekend and slept with her. Again, I let it slide because you know what? I took it as we had a misunderstanding. We was only talking for a couple weeks. I even said to him, like, listen, we can slow down. We don't have to be in a relationship. We could just hang out and kick it with each other. No. You know, all that baby, please. Like, I really want to be with you. I just didn't know. I've been hurt so much in the past. Okay, 2 things. That was strike number 2. Number 3. And this is when it escalated. The very first time that things got bizarre and physical, we were in the car. My sister and my nephew had came to visit me, and we went out to eat. I invited him to come, and he did not want to come. He refused, actually. He told me, go hang out with them, have a good time with your family. While I was there, I offered to bring him something back, and he didn't want it. Okay, no problem. When I got home, of course, he was hungry, so he wanted something to eat. We went around the corner because he asked me to get him McDonald's. I did, but we had an argument in a car about it, and he ended up throwing that food at me while I was driving. Y'all, I never had nothing so crazy happen to me in my life. That was really strike 3, but it was the first red flag. I felt like at the time that, like, if all the stuff that happened before I didn't cause me to leave, I should have left then. And like a dummy, I stayed. And y'all, I can't even tell you why, to be honest. Pride, my desires to have a family, my wishing that, you know, things would get better, my heart that forgives easily, just nonsense, right? Again, I told y'all I learned taking care of me more important than any and everything else. So those are just some of the things that happened in the beginning. Remember when I said, turn around, don't drown. That's what I should have did. But I had to learn that. I had to go through that to learn exactly how that statement applies to my personal life. Anyway, we ended up, again, staying together for like 5 years. There were so many other things that happened, and things just kept getting worse. The lying, the gaslighting, the bullying, the body shaming, his temper. He would get into it with people at work. He smoked, and I'm not a smoker, and he's a conspiracy theorist, y'all. So we just didn't see eye to eye, just on some very basic things, right? Another thing was him never wanting to visit my family and making plans to do things with his family on the holidays, but never wanting to do plans or make plans to do things with my family. It was always, they're too far, we can't afford it, it's too cold in Ohio. But to be honest, all of those were ways for him to isolate me from my family. He will always make me feel some type of way about spending time with my friends. He essentially was monopolizing my time. And he always found a way to make me feel insecure, right? Insecure about my womanhood, insecure about the choices I was making, insecure about me not being feminine enough, insecure about myself working too much, insecure about spending time with my friends because he felt like I wasn't putting that time in him. It was just a lot. And then it got physical. So really, y'all, with all of that being said, for me, it was just important to reflect on all of those things, right? It took, like I said, therapy. It took me reconnecting with my friends and reconnecting with my family. It took me, believe it or not, speaking up and sharing my story. I journal. I like to write. I told y'all before, I can write. I like to write. So journaling and really getting down to the core, like to the real reason why, like where I was in my life that caused me to ignore these red flags, to make some of the decisions that I made, to put up with some of the nonsense and drama that I put up with, and why I felt like I didn't deserve better than that. But now I know I do. I always knew it, but I was with someone who manipulated me into feeling like I didn't deserve better, that was all that I deserved, and it's not. So now the next chapter in my life, a new dawn, is moving on. Okay, it is moving on, and real talk, it's moving on. I am about to move again. I'm still in Ohio, but I'm looking into a bigger space, so I'm super excited about that. I have a foster child. So starting my family, it was always the thing that was important to me. And I've been able to figure it out. I've been able to figure out how to do it. No, it's not something that I necessarily wanted to do, was be a single parent, but choosing to be a single parent versus not being a parent at all, I'll make that decision every day, over and over and over again. It's worth it. I've been able to vacation with my family, relax and have fun, right? Like get back to doing the things that I enjoy. Get back to spending time with people that I love, like for real love. And more importantly, spending time with people who love me, right? Like I said, it's nothing like getting your peace back. It's nothing like taking your power back. It's nothing like, there is nothing in the world like losing your confidence behind a terrible relationship. But once you regain that confidence, it's nothing like it. All of it was worth it. And I'm just excited about where this next chapter and this journey is going to take me. So thank you guys as always for listening. Wrapping up my look now. I am going to change that lip just slightly, but you guys will see that in the next take. So y'all have to excuse my little ponytail. But I had fun and I hope you guys had fun as well. Here's me just cleaning up my nose ring a little bit, but yeah, I'm just super excited. These last couple years really whooped my ass, if I'm being quite honest, but I'm ready to take it back. So with that being said, y'all, check out the finished product. All right, guys, so here's the finished product. I did change the lip just slightly. I added just a little bit of brown lip gloss just to kind of soften up the color a little, and I forgot to put that on camera. So, you know, I wanted to try something new. I didn't particularly like it, so I kind of toned it down with a little bit of brown. So, finished look. Let me know what y'all think. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to join me today, taking the time to listen to me, watching me do my face. Today is one of the days where I actually had time. I had time to do my face. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Please, as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and you can share. Also, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what y'all want to hear next. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know what's next for you. As always, I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.